Hello, I'm your host, Lassiter Factor Podcast, the podcast where we talk about anything in the world of entertainment. Movies, music, video games, pop culture, gossip, whatever, you name it, we talk about it here. And if you're listening on YouTube, thank you so much for listening. And since it's the end of the year, consider this pretty much my best and worst of the year video. I'm not going to do a pretty much put together video of it. Just consider this my little audio review of it, as well as it's being on my podcast. So, and I bought some people you may have heard from before. Again, I'm your host Bradford Lassiter, and I have with me again
Six Ring Jordan
and Drizzy Drake.
So I bought them on again because it was fun having them on again, and and I thought it'd be good to talk about the worst and best movies of the year. And pretty much what's going to happen is I'll pretty much run down everything that came out throughout the year. Not everything. I'm not going to take forever on that. And then after that, I will give my top 10 favorites of 2017 as well as a couple of honorable mentions. And then they'll say what they thought was the best movie of the year, and then we'll talk a little bit about what was the worst movie that came out this year. So here we go. Now, 2017, I'd say it was a pretty more decent year than than last year. Like, I feel like all the good movies were a little bit more spread out. Like, for example, like in January alone, which is usually the dumpster for studios to dump bad movies. Like, and I remember just off the top of my head, in January we got Resident Evil, ouch, Triple X, Return of Xander Cage. No one really asked for that, but okay. But the one that split out, the one that stuck out to me the most in January was the film Split, which is M. Night Shyamalan, or M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong, as I used to call him. But
Shyamalan Ding Dong.
Yeah. But he came out with Split, and I was never really on the M. Night Shyamalan train because, to be honest, I never saw Signs or The Fifth Element or Unbreakable.
Wow, all his best works.
Yeah.
Signs was kind of scary.
And I didn't really know who it was until he started making terrible films like The Happening, After Earth, and The Last Airbender. And I'm looking at
The Last Airbender was alright.
No, it was
the
not.
ending I like.
No.
But we're not here to talk about Last Airbender. We're just here to talk about M. Night Shyamalan because he came back with the movie Split, and I thought, what's his name in the film? James McAvoy, Professor X himself, he gave, in my opinion, an Oscar-winning performance because he had to play 20 other different people in that film. And as well as it was a good little thriller, which I like. I like psychological horror, not no bloody bang, 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 or slice them up type horror. No, but this is the kind of horror I like to see. And the twist at the end, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but hey, the movie's been out for a year now. If you haven't seen it by now, you really wanted to see it by now, whatever. So, but what do y'all think?
Definitely a good way to bring in the year, especially for Shyamalan Ding Dong, him and his return as far as creating the movie process. It's definitely one of his better works, especially after his little trail of trash he left for us in the movie theaters lately. So it's definitely a good look for us as far as the start of January. But I do also agree with you as far as Split being the best movie in January as far as that goes.
Yeah, because all the other ones that came out was either mediocre or just not good.
Yeah, terrible sequels or.
Well, I would have to say Underworld because I'm just an Underworld fan, and I was looking forward to that Underworld, and I was actually impressed. I think that was probably, if not the best Underworld that came out, maybe the second best. So I would say that was probably the best movie for January for me.
Yeah. It's like with me, I never was really on the Underworld train. Like I saw the first movie back in the day when they used to play it on the HBO and Cinemax, and I saw bits and pieces of the second movie. After the second movie, I just never really cared to go back to it anymore. So.
It's a good story, like if you're into it, cause like the Lycan one was kind of like a spinoff.
There's a lot of lore, yeah, if you're into the backstories and the history of it all.
Yeah, but
it's one of those movies how I feel where like it's the train just ran off the road.
Yeah. Resident Evil, the final chapter. I really hope that's the last chapter until someone with some actual passion comes by and make a Resident Evil movie that we deserve. So.
Yeah, that'd be difficult, especially nowadays. I mean, the zombie part isn't difficult, but the storyline and how I guess Wesker and the virus and everybody in it, trying to make that make sense, as well as if you're gonna follow the game storyline or if you're gonna make your own original. It'd be interesting, to actually get a breath of fresh air. I honestly think we should sit on it for like a little bit and then give it some time to breathe. Let some new directors and then some new hands, new life breathe into it, and then give it a fresh start. But from right now, I feel like another one with a train just right off the track. They're just driving this movie to the dirt. This series, actually.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the month of January?
No.
All right, then we move on to February, which I remember February was getting ready to come up. February was stacked. Like, we had John Wick Chapter 2, the Lego Batman movie, Fist Fight, and Get Out, which was a huge surprise, and that film took the fuck off. It was Jordan Peele's directorial debut. Now, I'll admit, when I first saw the trailer, before the movie came out, I was like, that is pretty odd. And you gotta understand, I'm not a big fan of horror. And then to see Jordan Peele, like, wait a minute, Jordan Peele's doing this? And then not even a couple of days after the film came out, like, the film just exploded all over social media, the internet, and everything. And then my girl at the time, we just decided, hey, you trying to go see Get Out? And she's like, sure, I'm hearing all about it. And we both came out with that film, just surprised at how good that film was. And then we watched it together again on Blu-ray, which I bought. And what I love about Get Out, it was like every time you watch it, you always catch something new. So that was the biggest standout to me. All the other ones, John Wick Chapter 2 is a good shoot 'em up movie, Keanu Reeves. The Lego Batman movie, I feel like not only it was a good Lego movie, but it was a good Batman movie, and it actually, like, it was pretty much a better parody than any of the Wayans brothers have ever done, because, like, it's pretty much making fun of Batman's history, while at the same time it's telling a little bit more competent story. Fist Fight, I thought it was how you feel about the film, that's up to you. But I guess the reason Fist Fight was funny to me, because I have a friend who actually looks like Ice Cube, and he's a school teacher, so it just feels like I was just watching real life right there.
Too much of a coincidence.
This fight was hilarious to me, because Ice Cube was just funny as hell, like, then trying to punk the white boy, especially with the whole coffee machine. When you know what I'm saying, I was like Ice Cube, like, come on, bruh, like, chill out. That movie was funny.
Any thoughts on the month of February?
To me, the best movie for the month of February is, I think, The Great Wall.
Me and Drake are on the same page. No, I never saw Get Out. Now, to be clear, no, I'm good. But, like, to be clear, also forgot to say this in the beginning. Be clear, I haven't seen everything in the month of September.
Have you seen The Great Wall?
No, I haven't. But I haven't seen everything that came out in 2017. But I've seen a fair amount, and half the reason why I probably haven't seen everything is because I'm a person that values my money and time. So either it's a movie that I really wasn't interested in seeing, but then come to find out it was a shit movie, I just avoided the movie.
You might want to see The Great Wall. That James is like that.
Again, you can have The Great Wall. But
as far as me in the month of February, it's honestly the tie as far as action, suspense, and drama. The action part would definitely go to John Wick as far as suspense, drama, and just being a smart movie, deep movie. It definitely has to go to Get Out. There's not a lot of movies, especially in the month of February. I'm not gonna say not a lot, but there's a handful of movies in the month of February that just grab you and catch your attention like that. Whereas John Wick, you keep hearing about that pencil scene from the first movie if you saw it. And the second one comes around, you actually see it, and you're just blown away. And then, even though the way it left off, it was a little crazy, you're expecting a little bit more from the next one if they do make one. But as far as Get Out, though, man, that one, I want to play mind games with you and make you start looking at everybody, a little suspect.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on where your mind's at. But it's definitely a movie where you can definitely watch it 2-3 times and get a different perspective from it, depending on your mood and how you're feeling that day, or just in life in general. It's definitely a sit watch, a therapeutic movie where you can sit watch and just take bits and pieces.
The movie's
from
creepy.
It has its moments where it's a little strange, but it's definitely for those who like to nitpick movies and like find little things in the background or just
kind of scary.
Eat little Easter eggs, for yourself and other things. Definitely a movie to watch. It's very smart, very deep. It has layers.
The cool thing about February is I probably found what I thought was the best film of the year, but at the same time, what I didn't like about February was I thought, and I had my mind made up about this already, and I watched it and I was right. What came out of February to me was the worst film of the year, and to me that was 50 Shades Darker.
That was a movie I told myself I was going to avoid from the get-go.
Yeah. To me, here's the thing. I'll admit, I actually saw the first film in theaters by myself because I really wanted to see what the hype was about with the book and all that, and to see if it's real. Now, I walked out of that film. It came out in 2015. That was the worst film of 2015, and I thought that's one of the. To me, there's two films that I think are the worst movies ever made. Dragon Ball Evolution, which I think that film is an insult to my childhood.
Yes,
50 Shades of Grey is an insult to my intelligence. And then I watched 50 Shades of Darker. Now, you're probably asking, why would you do that to yourself again? You knew how bad the first film was.
Torture.
You could say that, but it's to me, yes, I try to avoid bad movies, but at the same time, there's just certain bad movies where you just got to give a courtesy watch. And 50 Shades is one of them. And plus, for some weird reason, I just wanted to see how this whole story plays out over the course of 3 movies, let alone 3 books. So I watched that, and I thought 50 Shades of Darker was worse than 50 Shades. So, oh man, yeah, in case you haven't noticed, I really hate 50 Shades.
Sequels are normally worse than than the first ones, but this one takes a whole new turn for the worse. There's monies that are made for entertainment purposes, and there's also movies that are made for money. And this is definitely a money move.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. Well, that's it for the month of February. Any other thoughts on that?
No, not February.
All right. So now we get into March, in which again another stacked month because, like I said, this whole year was just spread out with where we're placing our good movies. And I remember when March came, I knew I was gonna pretty much be at the movie theater every week because week 1 we got Logan, which is another great. I'll talk more about that later. The next week we had Kong Skull Island. The next week we had the live action Beauty and the Beast. The next week after that we had the Power Rangers movie.
Yep.
And then the next week after that we had Ghost in the Shell. Now before I get into those, there were some films that also came out in the month of March that either I knew about but let it float under my radar until it came out on DVD or whatever, and it was actually good. Like the Belko Experiment, I watched that via digital, and again,
that movie's chaos.
Yeah,
what movie?
The Belko Experiment.
I haven't seen
that movie. It's pretty much you're in a CEO building, and all the doors and everything, every door, every window has been locked, so you can't get out. And the only way you can pretty much get out is you have to. So many people in the building has to die before a certain time. And if they don't, more people have to die. So you got to figure out
who dies or something.
Yeah, not that much, but you got to pretty much take out a few people. Yeah. To ensure your safety.
But see, that's what I like about not only what I like about the Belko Experiment, but what I like about psychological horror, because it's it puts you in a situation. And to the point where you're that could happen to me, and then it has you thinking about if you were in that situation, which one of these co-workers would try to kill me, or who would I try to kill first, or whatever. So,
hey, Will would definitely be trying to kill one of y'all.
No, I'm pretty sure
something was to happen. If you think who would want to kill me in here, who do I know?
Yeah. But anyway, so there's the Belko Experiment. We had Life, and I watched that. It was it's okay, and The Boss Baby, I watched that, and it was again. All right. I'm like this. The Boss Baby is under DreamWorks, and DreamWorks to me, DreamWorks is the type of animated studio that gets nothing but C's and D's, and will occasionally get an A or a B. But The Boss Baby, on the other hand, to me, it's a C-. So
trash.
Yeah. To get to the bigger films like Logan, that was one of the ballsiest comic book films ever made.
It'll make you cry.
Yeah,
I did cry. That's the movie. That's the one movie I watched this year, and I literally cried for 30 minutes. I went out with my family. I watched it. The last few lines, I cried. And when we went out to dinner afterwards, I was still crying. That shit touched me like on a whole new level. I was like, I didn't even think this movie was that deep, and I was just like sitting there talking to my dad, and I was just like tears just floating in my eyes. And he's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Yeah, that movie was just something else. It was powerful. It's like there's no other words I can find for it besides powerful."
What are your thoughts on Logan?
Logan was great. It was awesome. His daughter was just like a beast. Like, she's what I wish Wolverine was. Well, not was, but like her fighting tech style was just kind of crazy. I was just like, okay, Wolverine was doing all that. He would have been vicious.
Yeah. The next movie that came out the next week was Kong Skull Island. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I felt like that movie just got unfairly hated on because they talking about some of the characters were underdeveloped and the story went this way and that. I'm like, it's a movie called Kong Skull Island. What more do you expect?
The only thing I wanted from that movie was less people and more Kong.
They wanted that movie to be like an old school King.
I mean, I feel like it's the same thing with Transformers movies. Why are there people in it? Just show what we want to show.
We'll get to them later. But and plus it also is a little blatant that with Kong Skull Island, that's just Warner Brothers' way of trying to set up their monster first because they are alluding to King Kong versus Godzilla, which I am more than excited for, but it just feels like they're trying to become Marvel in a sense.
I wonder how they're going to explain the size difference between Kong and Godzilla, because
no, they're all the same size.
Oh, now they're the same size.
For real?
Yeah, that's why Godzilla was big in his movie because they knew that it would be a size difference if Kong going up against King, so they just said, "Fuck it, let's just make them all big as hell."
I thought it was going to make actually like some kind of explanation besides just the nuke.
Yeah. I want to see that fight, Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah. Well, before we get that, we're gonna get another Godzilla movie, and then King Kong versus Godzilla. So I'm looking forward to
Godzilla
that.
has to win. There's no way King Kong can beat Godzilla. She breathes fire.
Says she.
You're not a god. You were never even a king.
Godzilla's the man, though.
Yeah. The next week after that, we had the live action Beauty and the Beast. Now, I remember last year, 2016, I saw that teaser trailer, and it immediately took me to the memories of when I watched the animated Beauty and the Beast on VHS. And then when I finally saw Beauty and the Beast, I liked it, but it was almost a blatant shot for shot remake of the animated movie.
I mean, what did you truly expect besides, more characters? Did you expect more character development?
I mean, for them to at least add something different too, because like the year before we had the live action Jungle Book, which in my opinion is
great.
Which in my opinion is better than the original animated version because they actually changed some shit up and add something to it, and that's my whole thing with remakes. If you remake something, you're either trying to make something that was better than what had come before it, or at least add something new to it.
That got on Netflix very quick.
Yeah. But I'm not.
There's reasons for that.
No, Netflix paid that bag.
No, or that movie was just that bad.
Well, it's not that it was bad. It's just Netflix has access to some of Disney's recent stuff. So.
Some. Funny.
Yeah.
Funny guy.
Yeah. What are y'all thoughts on Beauty and the Beast if y'all saw it?
It's all right. Like you said, so it's the reimagining, but just in live action. I find it humorous that at the end there was a scene where I guess there was like a lot of commotion about I believe it was the candle. What was his name? I believe his name was like Pierre or something like that.
Lumiere or something like that.
Yeah. I found that it was probably like more humorous than the entire movie, just all the commotion about that. But the movie was good, like you said, it was shot for shot, and my mom loved it. But it was whatever for me, just another Disney princess movie.
I didn't actually see it. The new one, the remake.
The next week after that, well, one that fell into my radar was Before I Fall, but I ain't gonna get into too much of that because I saw it, and at the end of the day, it's just nothing but teenage nonsense. So, move along. The next week after that, we had the Power Rangers movie, which at the beginning of the year I was very much anticipating, but I had a giant question mark over my head because this could either be good or this could be complete trash. And sure enough, I can't even say it's not that it was great, but it wasn't complete trash at the same time. It was just like I feel like they took the Power Rangers and put it in modern day setting and made it an origin film of how they become Power Rangers and how they had to come together to become who they are. And that was everyone's biggest complaint about the film, is that there was just not enough Power Ranger action, which I know that was your biggest complaint about it.
But it just tells you that the second one is going to be full on force.
Yeah,
first scene.
Yeah, if they make a second one, because according to the box office, it didn't make as much as the studio hoped it make.
What was the problem? They didn't have enough Krispy Kremes.
That too. I'll say, if anything, that was one of my problems with Power Rangers, is it had the most blatant, shameless product placement since Transformers and Man of Steel.
See, that's my problem with these movies now. They think everybody want to see an origin story. There's no need for an origin story for every single movie.
I don't think that, I'm not going to say that, but a lot of people probably wouldn't respect the actual origin of the Power Rangers from the actual...
Then you should watch the show. Go back.
But that's the other thing. Like, we all know how they become Power Rangers, but at the end of the day, Power Rangers is a movie made for kids. So the current generation of kids, they probably never saw the original Power Rangers, or just never caught up to it.
But you got to think, if Power Rangers is for kids, kids want to see some tight stuff. They don't want to just see no story of how you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
they don't want to see all. They can care less about all that crime
they
and
still
wimpy
have to
shit.
try and relate to their audience, and that's still why they make it modern. That's why they have phones, and that's why they freaking hang out at Krispy Kreme, and that's why they have one of each race, you know. And oh man, it's so many cliches. But at the end of the day, it was an alright movie. A lot of CGI. CGI was alright though. A lot of gold and a lot of Alright, next one.
I need gold. Monster, make my monster grow. Whatever she said.
Oh man.
Yeah, she was the worst part of that movie. It felt like she was in a completely different movie from everyone else.
Some people appreciate the overacting. Some people don't. Like Nicolas Cage. Something like there's.
No, he just checked out. Period.
But his memedom, like his memes like made him more than just a man. Now he's like Nicolas Cage, the GOAT.
Then the last one that came out in March was Ghost in the Shell. Now, before Ghost in the Shell, I had never saw the original anime, which I did. I bought the first two on Blu-ray. I've yet to watch the rest. But I actually liked them. And then I went into Ghost in the Shell, and also being aware of the controversy it had with Scarlett Johansson being the title character when she clearly should be Asian. But newsflash, you watch the actual film, it's a completely different twist that you'll either like or you'll just be... Okay, I can roll with that, but at the end of the day, that film could have done better, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was merging several stories into one movie, like they normally do with most anime adaptations or live action sequences or mirror movies. They just pretty much take several points in the story and just add it all together, or they take bits and pieces, the most important bits and pieces, and try to force it together. And I mean, I'm not gonna say this is what happened. Well, this is a result of everything that happened from it.
Any thoughts on Ghost in the Shell?
I haven't seen that movie.
Scarlett Johansson's not having a good. She's not having a good run with her solo movies lately.
Scarlett Johansson, she's getting old.
She only in her early 30s.
It's not her getting old. It's just it's either her movie choice or her acting.
Trash.
It's like, unless she's in a Marvel movie, either it's mediocre or just trash.
It seems about right.
I feel like she think because she's Scarlett Johansson, she can just hop in a movie and it's going to be like, oh, it's Scarlett Johansson. No.
I mean,
you're best in looking cute and doing some action shit.
But she is a legitimately good actress, though.
That is very true.
But she's best at looking cute and just
the
doing
roles are just, I don't know, it's just a little off now.
I don't think she's gonna play like a good role, like being like a mom or something like that. Like her best role is gonna be some type of agent or something, you know, like Angela Jolie maybe.
I mean, Angela, even that, her some of her best roles were action. She has a lot of drama movies that hold up as well. But we're getting off topic though.
Yeah, Ghost in the Shell was, let's just say I didn't buy it on Blu-ray. All I have is the two first anime, so that's that.
I mean, if you want to actually get the full in-depth experience, you should watch the anime. I mean, it's a few episodes, but there's several movies that'll help you catch up. So
yeah, I'm definitely get a crack at that. And so next we move on to April, which in my opinion was a little dry because there was only one movie that came out in April that I was mostly looking forward to, and that was
Smurfs.
Fuck no. Fuck Smurfs. I never liked Smurfs. I didn't like them back then. I don't like them now when they started making movies for themselves.
Oh, what about the Smurfies and the Smurfettes out there in the world that
you can go Smurf yourself. But nah, the one movie I'm talking about that came out in April was Fate of the Furious.
Wow. Kick that movie out the door.
Yeah. Like Fate of the Furious is...
I'm not a fan of... I kind of gave up on all the Fate movies after 5, alright? After 5...
Even after Paul Walker died?
I mean, I watched that, but I gave up. I mean, like I said, it's the best one so far. Well, the best one to date is number 5, hands down. And everything after that, besides the Paul Walker incident, is par, I would just say, at best.
I forgot which one was 5.
5 is when they go to Brazil.
Yeah,
and they take the little, they take the bank down the street. They take the bank vault down the street, and they start knocking up the city.
Best one of the series.
Yeah, it's like when they actually, instead of being like a straight up racing movie, it's more of a crime thriller heist movie.
When they had two little bank safes tied up. They were driving.
2 cars pulled it. Yeah. But yes, I definitely agree, Drake, that the Fast and Furious franchise is a franchise that overstayed its welcome.
Another train that needs to be...
But this is a guilty fun train, though. But
that's debatable because someone could say that about, the Resident Evil or... Do this.
Right. So, for me, with the Fast and Furious, here's how I feel like. The first one, to me, just for some reason, I just love that film. It's one of my favorite films of all time. The second and third one are the weakest of the franchise, particularly Tokyo Drift is the worst of the franchise.
I consider that like the 5th or the 6th movie because they have to do all... The whole timeline of that is so...
It's fucked up. I'm going to get into that. But like the 4th one I thought was, okay, we're back to basics. Then the 5th one was the best of the franchise. 6 was fun. 7, R.I.P. Paul Walker. But for the 8th one, Fate of the Furious, I just feel like with that film, it's like y'all really, really should have just ended this after 7, especially the way they ended it with Paul Walker and they just were off into the sun. That ended it so beautifully. What else do y'all need to do? But no, we have to have The Rock dodging,
Submarine. Is Submarine supposed to be like the last one for real?
Yes and no. But we're not here for Tokyo Drift though. But like Fate of the Furious, it was a fun movie, but it's a clear sign that, all right, can we just end this franchise?
A cash move, a money move. So whenever they had to swap out, I'm not gonna say swap out because he passed away, Paul Walker. They had to make a new face because Tyrese ain't cutting it. Look at him now; he's kind of in the zone right now, just losing his biscuits.
Yeah, and they're trying to make
look all dumb.
I mean, in real life, he's losing his wig right now.
Yeah. But they're trying to get a spin-off movie with The Rock's character.
I mean, yeah, there's also that. So
I can see that.
But that's it because that's how you know it's a money move because once they brought him in, he pretty much took over the show. Like Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel pretty much had his time to shine, but everyone's a little tired of Dom Toretto. Like you can only
it's like, bruh.
You can only make so many tough faces and growl so many times before people are like, all right, we know your character.
Or say, I am Groot.
I respect you more as Groot than Dominic Toretto. Like,
and not the Iron Giant as well.
Groot goes harder than Iron Giant. I'm sorry to say. I love the Iron Giant, but Groot goes way harder. Like they both sacrificed themselves, and they both came back. But Groot. I mean. He's more adorable,
Did the Iron Giant come back?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, did you? Well,
at the end.
Yeah, well, you probably haven't seen that movie in years, so.
I seen it, but I don't remember
Yeah, he blew up and there was a piece that went to the window and started crawling back, and then like all the pieces start meeting up in like Antarctica or Alaska.
He woke up and shit, started smiling.
Spoilers, I'm sorry guys, from like a 20, 30-year-old movie.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that, if you really want to see that movie, you would have seen it by now.
He's badass.
Yeah.
That's probably Vin Diesel's best role. I'm not even gonna lie.
It's funny.
Yeah, Vin Diesel was in that movie.
Yeah,
but either way, it's like we're all saying Vin Diesel was work best when it's just his voice.
Yes, Vin Diesel, you're a phenomenal voice actor.
So was Eddie Murphy in Shrek?
It's different caliber, but yeah. But anyway, so yeah, Fate and Furious, like I like the film, but not enough to even make it in my top 10. But the other two films that came out in April that stood out to me was Unforgettable, which, every year, we get these movies of this character that can't take rejection like a champ. And so she has to go all nuts. And it's just a Fatal Attraction-ish type movie that's been played out many times. And with that, we had Katherine Heigl, who is, as far as I know, was blackballed in Hollywood. And Rosario Dawson, which I love her in anything. And
yeah, what's up with her lately? She's been going a little Kramer.
Yeah. And then the other film that stood out that also flew under my radar was this little movie called Slight, which had Jacob Latimore. But I feel like that was a little creative little film right there. So that's how I feel about the month of April. Y'all have any other thoughts about April that came out?
No, that movie Slight. I need to check that out.
Oh, you didn't see it?
I think it's the same movie I'm thinking about.
Well, it probably got released in 2016, but they didn't officially release it to public in this year though. Oh, and another movie that came out this year. I just lost it. But anyways, I'll come back to it. You have any other thoughts on the month of April?
No, I don't. Well, Guardians of the Galaxy was great.
That's May, which we're about to get into.
Oh, well, yeah, no.
All right, so now we get into the month of May, which I'm always looking forward to because one is the start of the summer, and that first weekend in May they always release the big blockbuster on the same week as my birthday, which my birthday is May 2nd. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 came out May 4th, and I know this movie was pretty divisive with some people because they talking about it was a comedy show, but I'm sorry, I love Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 4. In fact, here's the thing: like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, it was my least anticipated comic book film of 2017, and it turns out I thought it's one of the best of this year. So, and all I got to say is I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
It was nice, vibrant, fun, entertaining, colorful, sad. But it's still, I feel like the weight of the movie. I feel like there's more entertaining than heavy when certain points happen in the movie. But it was still good nonetheless.
Thoughts on Guardians 2?
I think it was alright. It was cool. It was good. I think it was funny. I like the little squirrel guy. Without him, Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, I wouldn't say that because you still got Drax, you still got Groot doing stupid stuff.
Who brings the humor to the movie?
It depends. It depends if you like the dry humor.
Nobody.
If you like the dry humor, you like the
raccoon.
Everybody has their humorous moments, whether it's intentional or not.
Exactly.
Everyone waits for the raccoon to talk in the movie. You wait for him to be like, "Hey!" You know what I'm saying?
Sounds just like him.
Yeah, I say, I felt one of my biggest problems with Guardians was I felt the music was a little bit more underwhelming than the music from the first film, because it's like, at least with the subject to the first film, it's like it has songs that everybody knows, and even if you don't know it, you'll grow to love it. With this one, I just feel like they just got a whole bunch of one-hit wonders and just place them on the soundtrack with a couple of ones that everybody knows. Like they had Parliament on the soundtrack. I was like, yo, Mr. Blue Sky. So yeah. And to go back to Drax, I'm sorry, but after this film, I felt Drax is my least favorite Guardian, and I just feel like they just made him too much of a dick in this film.
That is his character.
I understand.
That's his MO.
I understand it's his character, and I clearly saw that in the first film. But I feel like with the first film, they was kind of pulled back as opposed to this film. It just feel like, okay, you're not even being literal.
They might just try to use this since you kind of know the character already. You can try to. I guess it's easy for you to understand, but I understand where you're coming from.
It's like
sometimes they just take it a little bit too far.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to try to hit every joke after joke after joke. Sometimes just let it sit.
Yeah. The next film that came out in May was Snatched with Amy Schumer and Goldie Hawn, and we haven't seen her in movies in years. And Amy Schumer, her last film was Trainwreck, which I actually liked, and Snatch. It's probably my least favorite comedy. I still enjoy myself watching it, but it was like,
Yeah, whatever.
I take it y'all never saw Snatched.
I've seen a preview.
The only Snatch I've seen is
the
Brad Pitt.
Real quickly, what are y'all thoughts on Amy Schumer?
She iffy. Because sometimes her stuff hits, sometimes her stuff doesn't. But at the same time, the controversy about her and the joke stealing is what makes me feel indifferent about her. So I could honestly care less unless she actually did something like truly sway my opinion, which I doubt will happen. So I probably just feel indifferent with her today.
You?
I don't like her.
You don't like her?
Yeah. She's never really that appealing to me in none of the movies for her.
The next movie that came out in the week of May was Alien Covenant, which... Oh, you like Alien Covenant? Like, I ain't gonna lie, I like Alien Covenant, but I didn't realize how polarizing that movie was, and understandably so, but I can understand because Alien Covenant was meant to be Ridley Scott's Prometheus sequel. I can imagine he pitched that to Fox, and Fox was like, okay, that's cool and all, but you better put a fucking alien in there. And I can see Ridley Scott just be like, fuck! That just threw him all off.
So much for that. Yep. I mean, it was like either you're waiting for everyone to die, or you're waiting for everyone to die. That's pretty much how it is when you watch Alien movie. Who's gonna go first?
It was cool because if aliens in there, what I mean, it's about to be some egg laying, being laid in bodies and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, the face huggers.
Yeah,
those things are so terrifying.
Yeah.
But there were a few questionable scenes, or I'll say scenes with characters and motives. Like no android. I just feel like his character, his plot switch at the end, where he was like, "All right, I'm actually working with the aliens, or I'm trying to evolve them, or whatever." And look what it cost him. Pretty much mankind, everybody on the ship at least, dead.
Yeah, any more thoughts on Alien Covenant, Steve?
No.
Alright, no. The next one that came out in the week was Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man Tales No Tales. Now, how I feel about I love the first film. I didn't mind the second film. The third film was okay. The fourth one was like, all right, this shit needs to end. And then the fifth film, where they try to bring everybody back, like Will Turner, and they're not even in the film that much. But my sister, my second sister.
Will Turner was like that.
Yeah, but my second sister, she's a big fan of the Pirates movie. I was like, all right, I'll treat you to this movie, and I thought it wasn't that bad of a film. And Johnny Depp's, he always fun.
Johnny Depp is his best. He's best at weird roles and with his hands.
Just ask Tim Burton.
Freaking what is it? The
Lone Ranger.
Everybody say the Lone Ranger. Like he should have been what's the name? The Green Hornet instead of freaking Seth Rogen. But
they say that was Seth Rogen's worst movie.
Potentially. Yeah. Potentially. He's got a few stinkers, but
what are your thoughts on the recent Pirates movie? If y'all seen it?
I try to stay away from it because after the Mermaid one, I was like, okay, it's just fairy tale.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
I was like, after the Mermaid, was it Mermaid's Tale or something like that?
Mermaid's Tear. A tear from a mermaid, which is very hard to get because they don't cry.
This guy. Yeah, I just pretty much gave up on Johnny Depp and Pirates after that because it was like
y'all just doing nonsense.
Yeah, it's pretty much just a nonsense. It's pretty much a villain of the week or villain of the month or villain of the year. How you want to call it?
Or you're bringing back someone from the past, like out of the newest one.
Yeah, his name was like Blackbeard or something. Motherfucker with the monkey.
Not even him, the other guy.
But in the final week of May, we had Baywatch. Yeah,
I actually like Baywatch.
How many movies was Rock in already?
Every movie this year he was in.
It seems like this is at least his 6th or 7th movie.
As far as Baywatch goes, like I didn't see that movie in theaters, but I watched it via digital, and I thought it was okay. I mean, everybody's shitting on it, but what did you expect? It's just a stupid, dumb comedy with some occasional laughs that's just try to cash in on people's nostalgia of the Baywatch TV show. Yeah, The Rock, he's fine in it, and
he's the
Zac
highest paid actor in the world.
Zac Efron, he was okay in it, and everyone else was just What are y'all thoughts on Baywatch?
I thought it was cool. I mean, I like Zac Efron. It was High School Musical was a classic.
I mean, he's really getting typecasted as either the dumb pretty guy or the fucking 420 stoner dude, frat house guy.
Cause it's like people don't want to see
the High School Musical.
The High School Musical guy no more. Just like Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana. We don't want to see that.
Well, he didn't do anything to jeopardize his career over and over.
I mean, he's acting. He's not publicly doing stuff like that.
And to be fair, it's not that Miley Cyrus jeopardizes her career. She just did shit for shock value, and then she went back to old Miley.
She's publicly doing things, though. It ain't like Zac Efron is publicly.
That's exactly what I'm getting at. He doesn't put himself out there like to be stupid. Like the guy the girl that was with him in High School Musical, I forget her name.
Vanessa Hudgens, and they were actually dating in real life.
Yeah, like all the pictures of her showed up online. Like, when's the last time you seen her in a movie?
They had her pussy and all that online. I was like, God damn.
She was on a TV show called Powerless, and that show got canceled.
Exactly.
She's still beautiful as hell.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah,
she is bad.
But at the end of the day, it's like compared to them, they were both in the same role. They both had the same chances, potentially.
But here's the thing: Vanessa Hudgens, Zac Efron, he's the only one that didn't show up for the High School Musical reunion, and for good reason. I probably think
hey, he probably had prior obligations to make freaking Neighbors too.
Which wasn't that funny.
But yeah, Baywatch, stupid, dumb, fun movie, whatever.
It was cool.
So now we get into the month of June, which we had some pretty divisive films, but there's only 2 films that stood out to me.
All eyes on me.
Yeah. Hold on. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, but we got to get into that first week, which we got Wonder Woman, which is probably the most impactful film that came out this year. Wonder Woman, and not only that, but it's a superhero movie for women, but it's probably the first time. But it's the first time, other than Man of Steel, in my opinion, where DC has gotten it right. But with Wonder Woman, it was a self-contained story that didn't have anything to do with what was going on currently. I mean, they said it in World War II, and
that was their version of her origin story. So they had everyone gets one, or they get little, flashbacks, and this was technically hers. So they had to explain all her brilliance, her greatness. Yeah. I mean, but it definitely is good for females, all women, uplifting, motivating to actually get one. They get a good one. It's not like some BS where it's like she's like the damsel in distress, or she loses all her powers or something. At the end of the day, where she gets her cake and she gets to eat it too.
Yeah, and I always want to say this too, but if it's a movie that my youngest sister wants to see because she is not a big fan of comic book films at all, that's definitely saying something.
It definitely is. I mean, but this is the type of movie that makes females want to go out there and either learn about comics or just get out there and understand, what it's like, I guess, for
female superhero.
That too. They got someone to look forward to, someone to be interested in, someone that is uplifting and motivating. Yes. But it's also bringing a bigger audience in the comic book realm that fills up more seats, that makes them that continues the cycle of the Infinity Stones and the Justice Leagues. I mean, for good and for
boxes.
Yep. So.
Yeah, and speaking of which, too bad that same impactfulness that helped Wonder Woman didn't help Justice League, but we'll get there.
Really?
Yeah. So, like I said, we'll get there. But Steve, what are your thoughts on Wonder Woman?
Wonder Woman was cool. It was not what I thought it was gonna be, but it was cool. I liked it. You know what I'm saying? Wonder Woman's not really my favorite female superhero. I would have had a Supergirl movie or something.
I wonder why.
But
yeah, we'll probably get there. But next up we had The Mummy, which I ain't gonna lie, I was actually anticipating, and I saw the film and I still liked it, but it's clearly not a great movie. The Mummy movie with Tom Cruise, and it's also universe's blatant attempt, the Dark Universe, trying to start their own Marvel whatever.
I mean, they failed with Dark Tower. They failed with the Mummy. What are they gonna try next? The Swamp Thing, the Werewolf, Dracula.
They already tried Dracula and that failed, and so now they try to restart with the Mummy. And
I don't know why they don't just get some young people like us to recreate it. Y'all got these old people who are old. They all they're doing is remakes. Nobody cares about Mummy stuff anymore.
I mean, there's an audience for it, but the simple way they're doing it isn't the most.
They're doing it the old way.
Like, you know what I mean by Dark Universe, right?
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying for Steve.
And the way I do. How do you mean? What are you saying?
It's like they're trying to start their own universe where they're trying to get all the monsters together for a Monster Squad movie.
And then Van Helsing is gonna come through and slay. It's like, no.
Oh, so they trying to start. Oh, all right, yeah. So that's gonna be the first. They're gonna bring the villain back from the Mummy in some big movie.
Yeah.
Wow. Suicide Squad.
And so the next movie we had Rough Night, not to beat a dead horse, but Scarlett Johansson.
Oh my gosh.
Trash.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Throw it in the garbage.
She's got a lot of winners this year, doesn't it?
The next film, which was kind of hurts me, not in a bad way, but just hurts me for what it's doing to this studio, and that is Cars 3. Because the Cars franchise to me is the worst thing that Pixar put out. Like the first film, it was okay. The second film was not just the worst Cars movie, but it's the worst movie Pixar ever put out. In Cars 3, they're trying to go for the whole Rocky route, and it was
You're high.
fine, but whatever. But
Cars 3, I think, is a great story. The first one, I seen the second one before I seen the first one. I seen the second one, made me go back and watch the first one because I thought the second one was so good. And the third one was just even better to me. So I think I love Cars. I think it was great. Probably the best movie. I ain't gonna say it's the best, but it's definitely in the top 5 movies that came out in that month.
Whatever. But to me, Cars it's made for kids. Cars is made for kids. But that's the thing. Like Pixar, they've proven time. But like I'm saying, Pixar has proven time and time again that they can take something that's meant for kids and elevate it into something that adults can enjoy and appreciate. And I feel like they're just not doing that with Cars. And I understandably why, because Cars is pretty much their marketing machine. So
yeah, they want to keep it for kids.
What about Wall-E?
They can make a car explode and it'd be dead now, but you know what I'm saying? Adults will like it.
Dude, it's probably just a generational money move. Like they're trying to get people from the next line of cars. Like this, how they're trying to and Incredibles too. A lot of people have not seen that movie, which is like one of the greatest animation movies of all time. In my opinion, it's like probably definitely my top 10. But like, I forgot where I was going.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
No, I was just kind of
Anyway, so Cars 3, yeah. The next
trying to reintroduce people to They're trying to reintroduce people to
the next movie that came up is a film that was divisive among black folks, and that is All Eyes on Me, which is the movie about Tupac. And now, when I first saw a trailer for this, I was excited, and then as time went by, they wasn't promoting as much. I'm like, oh yeah, that Tupac movie coming out, and then that kind of got me scared, and that was one of my biggest fears for that movie. I feel like that was them being reactionary to how successful Straight Outta Compton was, and once they saw how successful that was, they were just like, all right, what else we got? Well, we got Tupac. All right, let's get that out. Nice. And I feel like they just kind of rush a little bit and just
a little bit. I feel like
next.
Honestly, this movie should have came out because there was a bit around like a Biggie movie that came out like
2009 Notorious.
Exactly.
Before
that, it was like a documentary or like a Biggie documentary where this movie was supposed to come out instead of that one. And it was like so long, so I believe they just kept pushing it back so I actually got everything right. It's crazy. But yeah, it was more of a documentary or biography than an actual movie.
Exactly. I mean, it was a lot of controversy around this movie. I didn't think it was that bad. I did think they was rushing like each you'd be one scene, then it jump to the next and the next. And like, dang, you don't even.
Pacing was too quick.
It was too quick. Like by the time you even get into this scene, like, I feel that shit. It just boom. Next scene, it's like, damn, I'm still feeling the other scene. I can't even get to feel this scene yet. Because this scene over now. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. They probably should let the guy that did Friday or something direct that movie.
Yeah. And then the next movie after that was Transformers: The Last Knight, another franchise that I just wish would just die and get rebooted.
One leg already in the ground.
Nah, because that last one was awesome.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I didn't hate Transformers 5, but at the same time, I feel like they didn't do anything to improve the series. So that's just how I feel about Transformers 5. And
were the dinosaurs not enough?
No, they're enough. It's just the humans, as you said earlier.
Was Bumblebee finally going hard? Not enough.
I mean, if you get your ass whooped in like 5 movies and you finally do something, does it really
finally
matter?
Get to hear his voice.
Does it,
Beep bop boop bop. Face ass.
I will never be a bitch. Never.
Yeah. The next one after that is Despicable Me 3, which
Hey, shout out to the Minions.
fuck Minions. But no, like I've
evil.
I liked that joint because that joint was actually funny, especially in the beginning with the Michael Jackson theme.
Yeah, but that's just me. Like, I've never really been on the Despicable Me train. Like, I do like the first 2 films, but not enough to own them. The Minions movie was a blatant cash grab, and this third one was just...
His brother was gay.
Yeah.
Why you gotta be? why you gotta be all that, man?
That nigga was gay.
So yeah, but owing to one I did. Another animated movie I didn't have on this list that I'm looking through was the Captain Underpants movie. All I got to say about that is, hey, if you're a fan of the Captain Underpants books,
I'm a fan of the books.
Yes.
I haven't seen the movie though.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the books, you'll probably enjoy this one. It just didn't really do anything for me.
Captain Underpants.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, it was. I'll admit, it was in my opinion, it was a pretty dry year for animated movies. Other than 2, like the Lego Batman movie, and one that I'll mention a lot later. But
I think we might have skipped one that was.
If you're referring to Smurfs, fuck Smurfs. but now we had for the animated movies, we had Lego Batman, we had Despicable Me 3, Captain Underpants, Cars 3, and then one that I'm not gonna mention yet. And that's all I can think of. Lastly, in the month of June, we had every year we get this one movie that comes out in
Your name. Yeah. Well, I don't expect you. I don't expect you to have.
It's an anime movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Your name. That's all I'm gonna say. Just watch Your Name. All right. The feels are reals. All right. Carry on. I'll let you do the rest.
Yeah. So
top 10, or probably top 5.
Yeah.
Probably, especially animation. It's probably the best animated movies this year, hands down. But
Are we still in?
Right now we're at the end of June. He had to go back up a little bit. So yeah, the last movie that came out in the month of June, and every year there's one movie that I regret seeing in theaters because everybody kept talking about this is a great movie, you need to see this, and I didn't get a chance to see it, and I finally got the chance to watch it on Blu-ray, and that is Baby Driver. To me, that is absolutely a great fucking film with great performances, great music, great everything from the filmmaking, the directing, the editing, and everything. Like I totally regret seeing this movie in theaters, and I totally apologize for that. And
it's a movie that puts you in the headlock and take you along with you.
Yeah,
Get a chance.
And another thing, like all you motherfuckers out there that's talking about Hollywood doesn't make original movies no more. Have you seen Baby Driver? Look at Baby Driver.
And you also got to Get Out too. So
yeah, Get Out too. Like
give Hollywood a chance.
Several movies that that just if they can pierce through the cracks, they're definitely gonna.
I didn't see Baby Driver though.
Well, go see it. It's great.
And
another reason why Baby Driver was so miraculous because they released that movie in the summertime, and I can tell like they told Edgar Wright, who's the director of that film, like, hey, you put that movie out in the summertime, these franchises are gonna eat that shit up. But no, it stood out in the summertime and it beat films like I think Transformers and Cars or whatever at the box office. That film is absolutely one of the best of
He was talking shit the whole movie.
Who?
Jamie Foxx.
How'd you know?
Because it's Jamie Foxx.
Pretty accurate.
Like, fuck you, bitch.
So now we go into the month of July, which
You're not wrong.
yeah, but
You're not wrong.
bitch, do I look like I know anything about a fucking thing about Barbara fucking Streisand? A line from the movie.
That movie's crazy.
Yeah.
He was an animal in that movie.
Yeah.
Freaking shoot first, ask question.
Yeah.
Like, do I know you? he said, have we met? Are you alive?
Yeah. Before we move on, and too bad that movie has the actor that shall not be named at this point.
Spaceman.
Who's that?
Kevin Spacey.
You just said his name.
Too bad.
Gotcha.
He's like Voldemort. I'm not afraid to say his name. But yeah, in case you didn't know, Steve, yeah, Kevin Spacey, he got caught with the sexual allegations.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So
And then he got what's the name for that shit?
yeah.
Booked.
But we're not gonna talk too much on negativity. Let's go into the month of July, in which there was 3 movies that stood out to me. A film that is a little controversial for me because like Spider-Man: Homecoming came out, and that was one. Because here's the thing: earlier I said Guardians 2 was my least anticipated, but I anticipated Spider-Man: Homecoming more. And then
walking great.
I appreciate that it was great, and I do see why it was great. But after subsequent rewatches, Spider-Man: Homecoming just doesn't.
You are an original Spider-Man.
It's not just that, but it's like to me, Spider-Man: Homecoming didn't have the emotional pull that the other films didn't have. And I mentioned to this earlier, it also doesn't help that I just feel like they're trying to groom Spider-Man into the next Iron Man. So
there's several versions of Spider-Man.
I understand that, but like Drake has said earlier, Peter Parker, he's supposed to be the dollar store version of Reed Richards.
Yes. He's supposed to be the broke man's genius. Like, he's supposed to be the poor man's, the everyman.
But even the original Spider-Man suit wasn't the rinky-dink Spider-Man suit.
But he still made it himself. He like his first suit was like when he went to. It was like he was actually going to the wrestling ring. Like when he had to do that. Yeah, he had a mask. Like he had a mask and gloves on, whatever. Went to like a little. It was like a wrestling ring to get some money, whatever. That's when he met the guy that actually killed his uncle. So yeah, he was always the guy that did everything himself. He was always smart, hands on. He was always that's why I like the originals better too. But at the same time, this is a fresh take. I like Tom Holland. I like the simple fact he actually looks like a freaking teenager. He actually looks like he belongs in high school. He actually fits the part where he's
like that's one of the things I liked about it too. Like they set it in high school to make it feel like a John Hughes movie, but it's just I just feel like something was just missing to make me. And again, I'll admit I'm a bit biased because I do like the original films, but still I'm open for.
I mean, when you got to acknowledge when something's good, when this is good. I mean, it has hit a ceiling because it's not like it's not like really a standalone movie because it fits into a certain format as far as the Avengers and all that. Or not, is it the Avengers? Yeah, Avengers and all that. It's like a certain format, so it's kind of like you can watch this movie alone, but at the same time, you're not going to understand the camaraderie or the bond they had prior if you don't watch, what is it?
Civil
War, yeah.
But yeah, despite how I feel, despite my negative thoughts about Spider-Man: Homecoming, I still thought it was a great film, and I thought it had probably the best villain in the MCU in years, and it had a twist that I'm gonna be honest, I did not see coming. So,
yeah. What was?
Have you seen Spider-Man: Homecoming? I'm not gonna spoil it for him, so.
I don't know. I'm trying to think about the twist.
I'll talk about it off camera or whatever.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah. The next film is absolutely one of my favorites of the year. That is War for the Planet of the Apes.
Caesar.
Trash.
Fuck you.
Get out.
No, like to me, like. I love these recent Apes movies, especially for what Andy Serkis is doing to him as in the role of Caesar. The first film, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, with James Franco, is my favorite of the 3, but this comes a close second because I feel like it's it did something that the other films haven't done. It like advances the story, and it's no longer about the apes versus humans or whatever. It's actually about the apes versus the humans. And yes, I understand that people were disappointed because it's called War for the Planet of the Apes, and there was no actual war. But it's not necessarily about the war aspect. It's about the psychological warfare aspect of it.
I mean, there's multiple layers of war.
Yeah.
So it's not about actual war, just apes trying to get equal rights for apes just because of humans.
Well, the humans essentially killed themselves. So, if you've seen the movie, you'll understand what I mean by that.
Yeah, a chew.
Trash.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. And then some other films that came out was Dunkirk, which is by Christopher Nolan, and he's made films I have loved, i.e. Inception and the Dark Knight trilogy. Yeah. And he's made some movies that have been divisive among people, like Interstellar, and another underrated movie of mine that he's made is Insomnia with Al Pacino and Robin Williams. Great Robin Williams performance. I say for Dunkirk.
Shout out to Robin Williams, rest in peace.
Yep. But Dunkirk, it's a war movie and it has its audience, but for me personally, it just wasn't for me. So,
I mean, it's one of the better war movies, but
yeah,
there's millions of war movies, so you'll find one for you.
Yeah. Also, in that same weekend, we have Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, which I also saw. I thought it was visually stunning, but the actual story was just Y'all seen Valerian?
No, I ducked it like the plague, man. No. Yeah. There's certain movies that look so bad.
Just be like, nah.
Yeah, I mean, I got the a mock vibe of Fifth Element, but it's like very like a poor man is. It's pretty much like a poor man's Fifth Element just from watching.
It's directed by the same guy who made the Fifth Element.
Oh damn. It's funny how life works sometimes.
And he made money. and the guy also made Lucy, not to be the dead horse with Scarlett Johansson.
Well, I actually like the Lucy. The whole concept.
There's like this ongoing trend that's going on through this podcast. It's like all the movies.
You ain't like Lucy?
All the movies that are kind of bad, somebody here likes. Appreciates.
Yeah.
And I always be the same person every time.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not gonna
The last movie that came out in the month of July was Atomic Blonde, which was John Wick for a female, which I actually liked, and it had one of my favorite action scenes this entire year, which is that one shot where we see her going through the stairs and then into the room, and I like because it was just one shot and you can actually tell that she was getting legitimately tired.
They took, I'm talking about the scene. They took their respect, they paid their respects towards the old boy and Daredevil and all the freaking hallway scenes that came before it. It's like that's pretty much the new trend. One shot takes now.
Seen Atomic Blonde?
No, I didn't. I seen the previews. I didn't watch the movie.
Was it? It's good. Like I'm saying, where do you rank that on your top for that month? Is that the best movie for that month?
You've seen Shoot 'Em Up, right?
No. I didn't see that many movies this year. I seen like all the main ones.
Yeah, don't worry, we're gonna get into those. In the month of another one that came out in July before we get into August was Girls Trip, which
I like that one.
So yeah, we're not gonna talk about the Emoji Movie.
No, we're not.
We're gonna get it. Well, we're gonna slightly get to that, but no. But Girls Trip was I thought it was a funny comedy to me, and I know it's divisive among black folks
best movie that whole month.
Mainly because of Tiffany Haddish, and people thought that she was a little too much, but she's the funniest thing about the movie.
She been getting booked since that. Got a book deal and everything.
But it's not just about that though. It's people are criticizing her because they just make her seem like she's just the typical
wild ghetto.
But that's a role that she's playing. I don't understand when people say stuff like that about actors.
Some people see
you're playing a role.
Some people see them as the role.
That means you've done it well. If you can actually make people believe that's really you.
Yeah, but it's like people don't want to see that kind of whatever in the movie in a negative way though.
You see it in real life every day.
And that's the thing. They don't want to see it in film because they don't want, I guess, people outside of us
to mimic what's going on in the film.
Well, not mimic, but to have that as our vision of us.
But she's not the only black girl. It's 5-6 different personalities.
Put it like this.
It's different. What was it, like 5 girls, 6?
4 girls.
Well, it's 4 girls. There's 4 different personalities. So it ain't like she's painting a picture for all black women.
I mean, everyone fits a stereotype. But at the same time, if one person is the only movie they ever saw in their life, and they see a black woman like that, they might assume that's how all black people act.
But that's one black woman. The other ones don't act like that.
Some people don't have common sense, man. You know,
yeah.
This day and age, a lot of people don't have common sense. You just gotta figure out an easier way to communicate with them.
Because you could be mad at what's her name? Jada Pickett's character. In the picture, like, you wouldn't want to be with a girl like that.
Not necessarily.
Is that black women?
I think that's just not necessarily negative, but it's just real life because there are women that are like that. That are just tired.
That's my point. There are women that's like Tiffany Haddish character.
Oh yes. Anyways, no more about girls trips. So, we're just gonna skim over the Emoji Movie because that movie is absolute shit, and I didn't even see it because, I'm not gonna waste my time nor money seeing that. The month of August.
It's a guilty pleasure movie.
No, it's not. The month of August, we had Detroit, which is a great film, but I will probably never see that film ever again because that movie was just too much.
Movie that gets underneath your skin a little bit.
Yeah.
It's home. It's a tad bit too much.
Yeah. Again, one of my favorites of the year, but never gonna watch again. It's like 12 Years a Slave. Because it's like, why do I want to be reminded of the horrors of the past? You know?
Yeah, I don't like them slave movies. Hate them.
The Dark Tower. I ain't gonna lie, I kind of skipped that one because I didn't hear so good things about it, and I wasn't really interested in seeing it. So I was hoping for a trailer to get me hooked, but turns out everybody says it wasn't that good. So I was just like, I'll skip.
Sorry, James Bond, shoot 'em up.
Yeah.
You said nah.
Yep, I said nah. Y'all seen Dark Tower?
Nah.
I seen the main shooting scene because it's all over everywhere. But other than that, if you like cowboys in modern day that can jump through like portals and whatnot, then this is right up your alley. So especially if you're an Idris Elba fan, go check it out.
Another movie that came out in August is an independent film that y'all probably may not have heard of or seen, but it's called Ingrid Goes West. It has Aubrey Plaza and Elizabeth Olsen and O'Shea Jackson from Straight Outta Compton.
O'Shea.
Yeah. But yeah, Ingrid Goes West is a good little independent film. I highly recommend it. Go see it. I'm not gonna go too much into the plot, but pretty much Ingrid, she's pretty much a stalker that stalks Elizabeth Olsen, who is an Instagram star or whatever, and
wow.
And it's pretty much a social commentary on how we perceive social media and all that. So, the next film is The Hitman's Bodyguard with Ryan Reynolds and Samuel Jackson. Seen it? It was fun. You know, fun little action film with Sam Jackson being Sam Jackson and Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds. Yeah.
It's crazy when you get to the point where you don't even have to act anymore. You can just be yourself and just do movies. And these guys have hit that peak where they no longer have to, actually get in character. They can just be themselves and, still get a check for it.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Hitman's Bodyguard?
I didn't see that one.
Another one is the last one in August is another independent film. Is Wind River, which has pretty much an Avengers reunion with Jeremy Renner, Hawkeye, and Elizabeth Olsen again, the Scarlet Witch. It's a quiet little film. It's a good little murder mystery, but it's a good film. I recommend it.
All my friends are dead.
The next month is September, in which September had some surprises and September had some duds and some mediocres, but the elephant in the room in September was it.
And that was funny. Wasn't your best movie, but it was funny.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites of the year because it didn't rely on it being a horror film, even though it is a horror film.
But it should have been more horror.
No, but it's kind of a coming of age story. It's like Stand By Me meets Nightmare on Elm Street meets and it's centered around these kids, and I can't wait for chapter 2 because prior to it, I never saw the original one from 1990, so I went back and watched that. And it's a little dated. It's a little outdated for its time, but Tim Curry as the original Pennywise, he was fun in the role. And Bill Skarsgård, who plays Pennywise in the new one, I felt he did a decent job. And
his smile alone was just like creepy, just like drooling and all that other stuff. Yeah, it didn't take you out of your comfort zone, most definitely.
That shit was scary. That nigga looked like he really was like retarded or some shit. He was just creepy as fuck.
Yeah, I can't wait for chapter 2, which we see the kids as adults.
I can wait. I can definitely wait.
Well, you didn't like it, or have you seen it?
I'm just not a fan of horror movies. I like sleeping. That's all.
And we got the Kingsman.
Yeah. Hold on. Well, around this time of September, we're getting into movies that I probably haven't seen yet, but I will get to eventually. Like we had American Assassin. I have yet to see that. The Lego Ninjago movie. I've yet to watch that. But then again, I did. Yeah, but at the same time, I didn't hear good things about Lego Ninjago. In fact, no one really asked for a Lego Ninjago movie, so we have it. Yeah, we have a flat.
All the 10-year-olds and
we have a Flatliners remake. I never saw the original, but I'm just gonna take my time seeing that. But other than that, the other two movies that came out in September, we had Mother, in which I hated that film when I first watched it.
That was like a Cloak and Dagger movie. They represented it as one thing, and the next thing it was like a whole different. With the shenanigans.
It was a weird movie, but I'm not gonna talk about the plot to not spoil it. But like after listening to reviews, I can understand what they were going for, but at the same time, I'm never watching that film again.
Yeah, just know when you go and watching it, just have low expectations, and it's not going to be what you expect.
Yeah. Kingsman: The Golden Circle. I prefer the first one over this one, but I still have fun with it, though.
I mean, that's what this movie pretty much is, a fun, shoot 'em up, bang, bang action movie. Just like the first one is, but this one, they're across the water.
They had a lot more gadgets. I liked it this one more gadgets.
Yeah. And I like how they had, with English, they were the Kingsmen, and with America, we're the Statesmen, and everybody was named after liquor or whatever.
We are the Dollar Men.
Yeah.
The Key Men.
Any thoughts on the month of September?
It was alright. Could have been better.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of movies, but only a handful remain amongst the clouds.
Yeah. Jeepers Creepers 3, I didn't see that.
I never saw the first two, so.
Yeah.
The first two was great.
And plus, I heard some not good things about the director about the film, so that just made me further even not want to see the film.
I wanted to see the third one, though. I didn't hear anything about it. I seen the previews, but I didn't hear anything about it, like, when it came out, like, any good things or anything.
Next, we go into October. Now, man, I haven't seen any movie that came out in October yet, like Blade Runner 2049. Here's the thing, like, I tried to watch the original one, and I fell asleep on it.
Oh, you missed the Foreigner.
Yeah, don't let me get to that. But like the original Blade Runner, I tried to watch it. I fell asleep on it, and yeah, I'm just gonna watch it again. But the thing about Blade Runner is it didn't make much money at the box office, and I can understand why. Like, you're pretty much asking a lot of your audience to sit through a 3-hour movie that has slow pacing, and you actually have to pay attention to. It's like no one really wants to go to the theater to see that.
Don't forget, I mean, if you do want to watch, you gotta watch all the director's cuts. Things are changed. There's several different versions. Master's cut, director's cut, freaking special editions, different.
There's a few movies I missed in October.
Yeah, like we got The Foreigner with Jackie Chan, which when I didn't see.
After kicking ass.
Yeah.
We had The Mountain Between Us with Idris Elba and Kate Winslet.
Happy Death Day.
Happy Death Day. I've heard some good things about it, but I've yet to see it though, so I've totally forgot about that one. So. Marshall with our boy Chadwick Boseman.
Hey, Black Panther.
Yeah.
That came out already?
No, he's T'Challa, the chosen one.
Yeah.
The Almighty Negro.
Bloody Mary.
I don't even know what that one is. But pretty much the point I'm trying to make is October. It had some. It was a dry month, not necessarily because of bad films, because it had films that didn't really rush me out to the theater. So. And even that one, Blade Runner 2049, at that point I was just like, And so now we go into the month of November where things picked up again. And so we had Thor Ragnarok, which is absolutely my favorite Disney Marvel movie of the year. And we had Bad Moms Christmas. I haven't watched that. Daddy's Home 2. I haven't watched that yet. Murder on the Orient Express. I was actually interested in seeing that, but my finances wouldn't allow me to at the moment. So I'm just wait till that comes out. We had this little movie called 3 Billboards outside of Missouri, Ebbing, Missouri. That sounds interesting. We had Justice League, which was probably the most divisive of. Actually, I take it back. Not anymore, but still was a divisive film. Wonder, which I've heard was a tearjerker for some people. Coco, which is my favorite animated film of the year, and Pixar at its best. So yeah, Thor Ragnarok. I thought it was the best of the Thor films.
Hands down. That's no comp.
Yeah. Justice League I enjoyed, but it still had some. That film was pretty much the writing was on the wall with that film, box office wise, and
yeah. I mean, they can only do so much because they're on a very consistent losing streak.
Yeah.
I mean, they have good. All the movies have good moments, but the moments. Are there enough good moments to keep the movie afloat? And my answer is no.
Coco, which again I think that's Pixar at their best, and what I want to see them keep doing. But we're going to be getting sequels for them for the next 2 years, which I'm excited for because we got Incredibles 2 and Toy Story 4, which we don't need, but.
But I mean, it's something to look out for, though. You know, it's always good to see what you know.
Yeah. So yeah, what are y'all thoughts on What are y'all thoughts on the month of November?
Solid.
Smooth sailing.
It's a solid month. You know, besides the little Justice League fumble, so it was all right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, your movie's doing something wrong with the only thing everybody's talking on the internet is how they had a CGI Superman's mustache off.
What's wrong with his lip, bye? What's up with his lip, good? That ain't how my man look, B.
And now we get into the month of December, which we are currently in or about to end. Yeah, we had this movie that was the funniest movie to me of this year.
Parodies. Why are parodies so good?
Parodies.
Well, when they're done well.
Yeah. But that is the Disaster Artist, which
Johnny
is
Wiseau.
The Disaster Artist, which is about the making of one of the worst good bad movies of all time, The Room. But surprisingly, that movie was good because they pretty much, in a sense, humanized Tommy Wiseau and to make us believe that he felt like he really was trying to make something special, but in the end, he really did make something special. He made something so bad it's good and made everyone enjoy it, and it just, for some reason, it became a cult phenomenon.
Yeah, this is the pinnacle. This is the, like, when they look at the dictionary and they look up, you know, all the movies that are so bad that they're actually good, this is what they see.
Yes.
This is hands down like the worst movie you will lay eyes on. But if it's like a drinking game or whatever, you will laugh. If you're with your friends, you'll laugh. And if it's a drinking game, you will laugh even harder.
Yeah, you're just drunk by yourself. And just on TV.
You'll laugh.
You'd be like, what the fuck? Click. We'd be like, huh.
The next week after that, we had The Shape of Water with Guillermo del Toro.
He's always in something odd.
Yeah, but I'm hearing good things about it. I'll probably see it at some point. Before I get to the big one, right now when I'm recording this, I had just seen Pitch Perfect 3, and
hey, shout out to Pitch Perfect and the gang, gang and this bitch Pitch Perfect.
Yeah. But long story short, the first one is always the best, and they just make sequels that don't really measure up to how good the first one was. So that's how I feel about Pitch Perfect 3. The other ones, Jumanji, I'm gonna wait till that comes out on DVD, but because I am sorry, but I'm just not a big fan of them making it a video game.
The Rock's in it.
The Rock can't sell everything to everyone.
But The Rock's in it. You tell that to the
and
office. Tell it to the people.
And it also has Kevin Hart, and no one's really. And Kevin Hart's just being Kevin Hart in that film.
Kevin Hart is Kevin Hart in every film. When is he not Kevin Hart?
So yeah, Jumanji, I'm just not a big fan of them turning it into a video game instead of a board game, because I felt like that's what made the first one with Robert Williams authentic.
You gotta modernize it in some way, shape, or form, right?
Still though, like,
so let's put it in an arcade instead of in a box. Just throw it in the box.
And then The Greatest Showman, which has Hugh Jackman, Zac Efron, and Zendaya.
Hey Zendaya, that's my boo.
I guess The Great Showman is just awards bait or whatever, but I'll see it at some point. And then finally, Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, not to beat a dead horse from the last episode.
Hey.
But yet another one I was very anticipating and I enjoyed when I walked out, but was...
You wasn't so happy with it.
Not necessarily wasn't so happy, there was just things that happened in the movie that frustrated me after thinking about days after. And it's that bad that I had to see it a second time just to make sure that my thoughts on the film are valid.
You saw it twice?
Yeah.
So you got to see it 2 times to make sure you were sane.
Yeah. So, and I know y'all haven't seen it, but
Was it better the second time?
in some parts, yeah.
Or did you lose your sanity?
Or was you like, this some bullshit?
No, I'm gonna say it like this. It's not. But to sum it up, I like Force Awakens more than The Last Jedi because despite the fact that Force Awakens felt like a New Hope all over again, I still walked away from Force Awakens less frustrated than I did Last Jedi. So. Yeah. And in fact, it's making me more happy that at least that J.J. Abrams is coming back to direct Episode 9 because before the movie came out, everyone got all pissy like he's just gonna make it like Return of the Jedi again. And then after seeing Last Jedi, you're like,
that's what we want.
Yeah.
That's what we want. Give us what we want.
But hey, at the end of the day, Star Wars fans will never be happy. At one hand, they wanted like the when you try to do something different, i.e. the prequels, in my opinion, everyone bitches. But when you try to do something that's the same as something that came out previous, people bitch and complain. So, you can't please everyone. So,
Definitely can't.
December.
Yeah, but for me, here is my top 10. But before we get into my top 10, these are my honorable mentions, which is Power Rangers, Alien Covenant, The Fate of the Furious, Justice League, Split, Girls Trip, The Lego Batman Movie, Spider-Man Homecoming, Star Wars The Last Jedi, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. In that order. But for my top 10 is, at number 10 I have Detroit. And the reason I have it so low is because, again, I like the film and I like what they did with it, but it's a movie that I will never watch again because why would I want to put myself through that again? At number 9 I have The Disaster Artist, probably to me the funniest movie of the year, and I just like the way how they spin that story. At number 8 is It, the best horror film I've seen this year, and I just like how they spin that story again and made it into something that's a little more than just a horror film. At number 7 to me is Thor Ragnarok, because again, to me, I thought it was the best of the Thor films, and they took a new direction with it, and to me, it's the best of the Marvel movies that came out this year. At number 5 I have Baby Driver. Nothing more to say about that. The film's just great. At number 4 I have Wonder Woman, because of how not only it was a good film to me, but it was still impactful. At number 3, War for the Planet of the Apes, because I just like how they concluded that story. Number 2 is Logan, because the way how they just elevated the X-Men universe into that, and just that film's so damn impactful. And then finally at number 1 is Get Out, which surprisingly is for me because Get Out is just.
Let's really put Logan before that one.
When I put Logan before that one, because I love Logan to death, but for me, Get Out was just Get Out spoke to me the most. I guess what I'm saying is, as an African American male, Get Out spoke to me the most.
It went viral.
Yeah.
Should touch your soul, huh?
Yeah.
Because
you also got to think, like, Get Out, not only it tried to be a horror movie with a social message, but it was in the risky business of being a black social message. So
it wasn't really like a horror movie, but it still was creepy as hell.
It was a psychological thriller.
Yeah, you be scared in your mind. Like,
it was tense. It was pretty much tense the whole time, though. But it's like, there was enough danger to make you worry about them, but at the same time, you didn't know what was gonna happen, like if they were actually in danger or not, or if who was in on it or who wasn't. Like you just didn't know, and that's what made it a lot worse than what it actually. Because he could have pretty much by himself just rolled the fuck out whenever he wanted to. It was like, my girl. What I'm gonna do with her? And this, that, and the third. And I'm just.
Man, that nigga car would have been broke down or something. He'd been like, you missing the head gasket.
And they have one of the best endings, in my opinion.
And the alternate.
Yeah, how Lil Rel, he's funny. You gotta watch his stand up.
Yeah, he's definitely. That was definitely a good ending.
Any other thoughts on my list or any of my honorable mentions?
No, I mean everything is. It seems. Your top three I can rock with. Your top two most definitely. I swapped the order.
Yeah.
Because I give you my top three is my number one is Logan, then my number two is Get Out.
Why Logan over Get Out?
Because I honestly didn't think that even as a send off tribute to we've been with Wolverine and Hugh Jackman, his character, for like 10, 15 years, and it was a beautiful send off. It was the best movie of all the X-Men movies, hands down. It was a deeper. It was like some of the cliches they turn on his head, like when the guy was trying to drive off in the limo, and normally in every movie like a dude would just drive his car through a fence, and it didn't work this time. And it's like, and like the one line he was like, is this what it's like to have a family? And when he kicked the bucket at the end, it's just like, yeah, that's the line that killed me. And it's like, yo, like we all got that point in our life where it's like this is what family feels like, and like the moment he actually gets the moment he succeeds, when he feels like he understands what Professor X is talking about, it's just like it's all over, and it's just like shit. Everything can end in an instant. You never know, when you're gonna find it, what you're looking for, all that good stuff. It's just deep. But yeah, what's it called? First is Logan, then it's Get Out. It's like you said, that's a very deep movie. A movie you can watch several times and still get stuff out of. I either have to go. I got like a few for number three.
Which are, if you can figure them out.
Wonder Woman. Because it's kind of like, I'm not gonna say revolutionary, but it's good to see, actual DC doing their thing finally. Like they got it right. Yeah. They got it right.
Or seemingly got it right.
Well, at least for the moment, they were doing their thing. I can say that much. I mean, they could have been a lot worse. I mean, if you look at the way they're just smashing stuff together, it's not beneficial, because when you watch how Marvel do it, they got like freaking 13, 14, 16, 17 movies out, and it's like you can understand and you can build with the character while they're just smashing stuff together. But to tie Wonder Woman with was John Wick 2, because that, like I said, that movie is beastly. Like people getting smoked left and right. And anybody want that smoke, John Wick got it for him.
So my top three, I would say Logan was number one, definitely. And me personally, since I'm a Pirates of the Caribbean fan, that's going to be my number two.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? And number three, I mean, I'm going to say this. I had some words about this movie. I ain't like it that much, but the impact it had, I had to go with Power Rangers for number three. Because even though people had stuff to say about it, it still was like the biggest movie, one of the biggest movies this year. I think that was like huge. The
box office would say different, but understandable.
35.
But I think everyone's seen it, whether you went to the movies or not.
Yeah,
you seen that motherfucker.
Yeah, at least they didn't see it. They heard about it. Definitely.
Let's see. Any other thoughts on well, let me ask you this. Well, I know you haven't seen these yet, but based off of what you heard of these three films, what is the best Marvel Cinematic Universe film between because like I said, for me it was Thor Ragnarok, then Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and then Spider-Man Homecoming.
Thor Ragnarok. For the Hulk reuniting scene, the Hulk reuniting scene. There's something a lot more I don't know. It's something about that was just so right. That was something that was so joyous that like I don't know. But then again, that's just one scene compared to the whole freaking Homecoming movie, where it's like you got the villain, you got Tom Holland doing his thing, and it's actually the first time we get to see Spider-Man. Well, this version of Spider-Man, doing his thing. So,
you seen Thor Ragnarok?
That's why I say based on what he's heard. So.
Nah, that's why I'd have to go with because the trailer for Thor that was bananas. I was just smiling like the whole time, getting goosebumps. But but for what was the third one?
Excuse me, Guardians 2.
Guardians, that I'm not too attached to them, even though like my favorite characters are freaking Rocket and Groot for obvious reasons. It's just I feel like out of a band of 5, I only care about 2, or I guess you could say 7 now, 6 or 7. But I only care about 2. It's kind of that's not the best feeling, but as far as the best one, it's got to be Spider-Man, hands down.
Yeah, I agree that Thor Ragnarok is the best for me, and like I said, Guardians was my least anticipated, but for some reason that film, like, I had the most fun with that one, and I guess with all the Yondu stuff, that kind of hit me some type of way because, and take it as you will, but because, my father, he passed away almost 2 years ago, and so it's like anything that even remotely deals with father figures just hits me in a way that's never hit me before, so I guess that has something to do with it. So
I mean, yeah, everybody takes a little bit from each movie into their life, just like, or they put a little bit of their life into the movie to relate some way, shape, and form, even if it's like sci-fi or somewhere so far-fetched, it's unbelievable. Try to relate some kind of way.
He might have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy. Any thoughts on the MCU movies for you?
No.
All right, so lastly, I will say that. What did you say?
Marvel Universe.
Marvel Universe movies.
Yeah.
Justice League.
That's DC.
Oh, what is that?
Yeah. All right. But anyway, so one last thing for me is to me, it's no question. To me, the worst movie that came out this year was 50 Shades Darker. Because, like I said, to me, that film was an insult to my intelligence.
That was fire. My little sister called me today and asked me if I seen that movie, and I told her, hell no. Hell no.
I just think, like, bruh, it's the same shit as the first one. Like, you just tying her up and shit and fucking her in random places.
You can only do so much to a human being that is, like, legal or not creepy. Yeah. Like,
got the bitch signing waivers and papers and shit.
Like, there's only so much you can do before you as a person feel like, yeah, this is across the line.
This nigga like, yeah, cross out what I can't do to you. Like, whatever you don't like, just cross it out.
Yeah, so what?
You can do everything else.
What was the worst movie that came out this year to y'all?
Emoji Movie.
You really watched it?
No, and I know it was the worst movie. Who wants to see a fucking Emoji Movie?
I mean, that was a clear, hands down,
like
crash.
Straight shit turd.
Cash grab
to the toilet. Like, really. Like I would be asleep the first minute of that movie. Literally, I would be just sitting there like this.
What about you, Drake?
Worst movie of the year that I've seen. I'm a big anime head, so probably go Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, fuck. Oh. Or you really talking about the Ghost in the Shell anime, not the live action?
The movie, I wasn't a big fan. I mean...
Oh, I'm still thinking about that. You said that was the worst.
That was the worst, yes. There was movies that I've seen, yeah, that was lackluster. That's one of the movies, like, if you're like a diehard fan, you probably either walk out of the theater or be taken out of the theater. I mean, they have their faults. They have their faults. That's the best I can say. They have their quite a bit of wrongdoing, but they try to stay faithful to the story. But by doing that, they end up fucking themselves over.
stepping on their own foot and just making a blunder of everything. Because they have freaking decades of material to work with, and they still end up not getting it right.
Shit.
Like they are, like how I mean, it's not that difficult. The most they gotta do is make a few tanks and a few invisible people, and maybe some robots to make their heads blow up. Other than that, like that's the easy stuff. Like we've been doing that since the 80s. That's how bad it is. I freaking forgot. Ghost in the Shell.
I haven't seen that.
It's not worth your money or your time. I mean, unless you like looking at Scarlett Johansson.
But even that's not enough to save the film. And I love Scarlett Johansson to death.
And she's in nicer outfits and better movies.
To in this podcast, I'll run down the top 10 movies that I'm anticipating for 2018, and y'all can chime in on these. That at number 10, I have Deadpool 2 because
that jank gonna be lit.
Yeah. Number 9, I'm sorry, but I like Jurassic World, and I'm looking forward to Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I mean, I wasn't a big Jurassic Park or Jurassic World fan.
What? Jurassic World was cool.
I mean, I appreciated the movies. I liked them for what they were. But you know, when you got like Star Wars and Star Trek back then, it's like, what's really Jurassic Park? In my world, you know, when you got space, why I care for earthly matters.
At number 8, I have A Wrinkle in Time, which y'all probably never heard of it, but it's a live action Disney movie with It's a weird movie with Oprah Winfrey, Reese Witherspoon, and all them. But I'll show y'all the trailer later. But only reason I'm interested in this movie is because it's directed by Ava DuVernay, who some may know directed Selma, and I love what she did with that film. So it's like I'm curious to see what else she does next.
The movies in general this year is going to be very new, very unique.
Because I'm entering Hollywood.
At number 7, I have Ant-Man and the Wasp, because I love
that.
That's going to be good.
Exactly. Number 6, I say this year for movies is going to be a better year for this year is going to be a better year for animated movies than it was in 2017 because we are just stacked. Like, cause at number 6, I have Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Let's go.
Yeah, like I adored the first Wreck-It Ralph, and I can't wait to see the second film.
First one was phenomenal.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
You're lunching, Bob.
What is a Wreck-It Ralph?
Boy. Like, get out. You gotta walk home now, Steve.
What is it? Wreck-It Ralph?
Oh,
Wreck-It Ralph. I'm gonna wreck it.
He said Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh,
All right, let's go.
At number 5, I have Creed 2 because I love the Rocky series.
Come out with a second one?
Yeah, because I love the Rocky series, except for Rocky 5 and to a certain extent Rocky 4. But that's a conversation between me, you later, Drake.
Rambo 2 later.
Yeah, but I absolutely adored the first Creed, and I really can't wait to see what they do with Creed 2, especially since they're alluding that it's gonna pretty much tie into Rocky 4, which is what Ivan Drago killed Adonis's father. So
that's gonna be so.
But he's gonna be what, a baby then? So
I mean, he's gonna probably be a young man. And they're gonna show him in releasing that rage on said Ivan Drago's child.
He's gonna get beat probably in the beginning and have to go back and fight.
Probably have to go home and lift some cows and some mooses and whatever. Do whatever Rocky did.
Climb to the top of a mountain saying Drago.
Rocky probably gonna die in this one, ain't he?
Maybe.
They're gonna just look at him, uppercut him, knock his head off. He wasn't even fighting.
At number 4 is a movie that is controversial only because of the behind the scenes drama, and that is Solo, a Star Wars story, which is another Star Wars spinoff centered around young Han Solo, which
out here getting to be
because
young Han Solo,
back as a scoundrel,
out here taking over the fucking planets.
No,
getting to me,
being a bandit. How he met Chewbacca.
Yeah,
that would be so.
And how he met Lando, who is going to be played by Donald Glover.
This guy,
Donald Glover.
Lando. Oh
no, I'm losing you, ain't I?
Yes, I don't like Lando, but I like Donald Glover. So this is like an oxymoron for me. So I hate to love this guy now. Like, what the fuck?
What happened? Did real Lando die or something?
That's the thing, and that's a hashtag I'm gonna start on the internet. Where is Lando? Why isn't he in this current trilogy of movies?
Probably still living in the
They probably like ain't paying the nigga enough.
He probably live in the Jerry curl.
In fact, I know how they could have used him in The Last Jedi, but I'll talk to y'all about that whenever y'all see the movie. But Solo, a Star Wars story, is controversial because of the behind-the-scenes drama, because it was supposed to be directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who made the 21 Jump Street movies and the first Lego movie, and then they got fired, so now they brought in Ron Howard to direct that movie.
Ron Howard?
Yeah.
He's still alive?
I mean, he directed that Moby Dick movie, whatever it's called, but no one heard about that. So, at number 3 is a movie that I guess you could say everyone in our generation has been waiting for, and that is The Incredibles 2.
Oh yeah, most
definitely.
Yeah, it's like 10 years too late though. Like, Jesus
Christ.
Some people,
it's actually right on time.
Nah, some people like died waiting for that movie. Like that movie, that movie's been a like long time coming.
Exactly. Like I'm like this. We got a sequel to Cars before we got a sequel to The Incredibles.
We got
Come
2
on.
sequels to Cars before we got an Incredibles, right?
Yeah, that's
everyone like Cars.
But everybody loves Incredibles though.
Exactly. So you had to do it right.
But Cars is their biggest money maker. So, but
I mean, after 10 years, like, how can they do it wrong? It's like y'all been sitting on this like this little pot for so long. Like,
then The Incredibles is supposed to be like a classic. I don't think they was even going to make a part 2. They just people kept asking for
the second they made the son, friggin' not Dash, but the friggin'
Jack.
Yeah, once they realized he had all the powers, you knew. Like, that's one of the movies I literally watched like 8-9 times. I watched the freaking behind the scenes. I watched everything inside and out, like, just to figure out they're gonna make another one. What's gonna happen? What they're gonna do? And like, yeah, that thing. I'm happy. I'm one of the people that waited.
I wonder how old Jack, like how further in the future is going to be. See, like Jack, is he gonna be like?
No, that's pretty much gonna take place right after the
like tomorrow. Like everything that happened in
like Jack's
a baby. Still.
Yeah.
Like they should have like a time.
They should have had it so like he'd be like the boy age, the age the boy is now.
Oh, like how Syndrome was when he was younger. That would be tough. But he's got the powers though. All the powers for the most part.
Then finally, my top 2 are both Marvel movies that I am very, very, very much anticipating. And for one, because it's an event, and the other one because of the impact it will have just as big as Wonder Woman. And at number 2, I have Black Panther.
Yeah, that shit is gonna be fire.
Like I'm telling you, like
everybody better be out here in the dashikis that first day. Like everybody, I don't care if you white, like Asian, none of that. You better be out there in your suits now.
You better have your Muslim hat on with your bean pie in your pocket.
Check this out. Like, I remember when I saw Thor Ragnarok in theaters and they played the Black Panther trailer. Once the trailer was over, someone balled up a fist and put it in the air. That's how important this movie is.
Like, this movie is like, this is one of them generational movies. It's like, we got one, guys. We got one. Like, how we got Obama? Like, we got one. We definitely got one this time. We don't got no. It's not a backup guy like freaking the Falcon. No offense, like you're not a sideline character.
And he's not a vampire like Blade.
Yeah, you're not just like some cheesy, corny whatever. Like you get your movie. You're a king. You got your own island.
Put Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark in their place as far as rich guys go.
You're the richest guy in the world. You're just one of the smartest guys in the world. Like, come on, I just. Salute to T'Challa, man. Salute to T'Challa,
Hashtag.
Man. Yeah, salute to T'Challa, man. You did your thing, man. You holding it down.
Yeah. And then, of course, at number 1 is Avengers Infinity War, which is the culmination of everything they've put out in the past 10 years. We're finally getting Thanos.
That ain't gonna be chaos. I wonder how many, if any, I wonder how many deaths we're gonna get. Should be.
You know they're gonna make them win.
But I mean, if you follow the original, like, dude just snaps a finger and half the freaking universe, or like multiverse, or like all of life, like half of all of everything that just disappears. How do you beat that when he can snap a finger and do that?
Yeah, Avengers Infinity War. Need I say more? That's just gonna be I just can't wait.
Man, that's like that steak that you've been cooking, like that you knew you're gonna cook on that good old day, like that's like the steak you've been sitting on waiting, like that's like like that bottle of champagne you've been waiting for, that whatever, like that's the little thing you've been sitting on, and once you get it, You know it's gonna be a good time.
Mm-hmm.
You know it.
Yeah. So, any thoughts on what's coming in 2018?
Nah, well, Black Panther probably the most anticipated. That and The Incredibles too.
Man, it's gonna be a good time for superhero movies. It seems like another year for good superhero movies. You know,
hopefully another Power Ranger movie will come out.
Boy, get out!
It's not coming for another 2 or 3 years.
They're not. I mean, they might make one just for you, Steve. And they're gonna cash you in that jank.
Be like, what? Doesn't the Bruce Lee movie come out this year?
IP, man. Oh, you talking about that movie? That one already came out, I believe.
What was it called? Enter the Dragon or something? No, Son of the Dragon, Fist of the Dragon or something.
Potentially something like that.
Two other ones that I forgot will be my honorable mention. I'll talk about those real quick and then we'll end. Is the other two X-Men movies that come out, which is the New Mutants and X-Men Dark Phoenix. X-Men Dark Phoenix.
Sansa.
Yeah.
So now they're about to be focusing on like the X-Men from the origins.
Yeah, they're doing that again, and they're focusing on the young Jean Grey from Apocalypse, and hopefully they'll do the Dark Phoenix storyline right.
I mean, how can they really do it right without it being like overly CGI or this is
they gotta make her beastie because she was beastie in the X-Men.
But this is another series where like you'd have to have multiple movies to break down the characters, their stories, and their personalities, flesh them out more.
I've always wanted to see her backstory for real. Like how she, like I know she was a mutant, but how did she, like how's her powers like manifested, and how did she became like Phoenix?
I mean, she's like all the other mutants. They all hit mutant puberty.
Yeah, and stuff just starts happening. Like she was woken up one day, and next you know she was just floating. It's like and then it started
controlling things.
Yeah, it got to the point where like her whole neighborhood, like everything was just floating, water, cars, people. It was like, all right, who do we call to stop this?
Who's like Gene? Gene?
I'm just imagining.
But the New Mutants is one thing I like what they're doing with comic books is that they're bringing in other genres and pretty much putting it in there with the New Mutants is more of a horror aspect. So.
Yeah, I mean they're not like afraid to fail because freaking
yeah, that's what I love about Foxes.
They're not afraid to fail. They will keep trying. What was it? What was the one with the Black Bolt and them? What is it? I see the here nor there. There's like a series that they didn't even make it like the past 3 episodes. Black Bolt and freaking
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's on the CW.
I believe so.
Yeah, I forgot all about that.
It was like the Inhumans. It was Inhumans.
Oh, Inhumans, yeah.
Yeah, and that jank ain't do too hot. But I mean, they're not. There's like it's a lot of superhero properties coming out in the last few years. I guess between the Iron Mans and the Batmans and the Supermans, Wonder Womans, they're making it to the point where
they can experiment.
Yeah, they can experiment. They're not scared to fail. They can just try whatever. You know, they're gonna get some good ones. You know, like the first Thor. They're gonna need some bad ones like the first Thor. They're gonna need some good ones like the last Thor. Like they definitely try things out. They can try their hand.
And on that same note, that's why because now that Disney owns Fox, that's what I'm afraid. Because like I don't want to see watered down, Disney-fied versions of some of the Fox's Marvel properties that they don't like.
There's the potential because they're more for the masses. They want to make the money, so we're gonna get more PG-13 movies than actually rated R movies. So the Deadpools and the like rated R Wolverine movies, like that's gonna be like. It might be a little bit more rare to come by unless the fans, you know, voice their opinions or the producers or directors or the screenwriters or whatever fight for the case. I mean, it all depends. But I mean, rated R superhero movies tend to be like the few that are out have been actually pretty good. If not funny, if not entertaining, if not great writing, something good about it.
That is it for this episode of the Lassiter Factor Podcast. I will say that it was a fairly decent year for 2017. I'll say it was a dry year for animated films, but I'd say the batting average for the comic book films was a lot better than last year's.
Batting like 5,000.
And we got a whole bunch of original films that was actually good and actually made it on my list. Star Wars, but better luck next time. And I still have faith that y'all always be a Star Wars fan. But I'm ready for 2018. Black Panther, Avengers, Infinity War, Creed, all y'all, like, bring it to me. I want to thank my guests for coming in today. And tell them your names again and your social media plugs and all that.
6 Ring Jordan, Instagram at 6 Ring Jordan.
Drizzy Drake off the Facebook, man. Fuck it.
And as always, you can find me on all social medias, just at Bradford Lassiter on YouTube. You can find my movie reviews and everything, and you can see me on Instagram, which is at Bradatron, and Snapchat at Brad the Director. Thank you so much for listening, and see you next year, aka next week. Peace.
Bye bye.
Adios.